There is no telling when the X-Men will arrive in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Weeks after his death, someone leaks Dmx'S financials and lets the world know about his IRS struggles. According to reports, Darkman X, whose real name is Earl Simmons, owed $663,554.55 in back taxes, and the government was set to put a lien on his assets. The news, as laid out in court papers, is alleged to have been shared with him and his ex-wife Tashera Simmons months before his tragic and unexpected death. The document says that the Internal Revenue Service says that the Simmons as a couple owes $358,681.62, 2002, $35,896.09, 2003, and $268,976.84, 2005. DMX alone owes $338,000 owed for 2002. Taxes were the reason why the Get At Me Dog rapper was locked in 2018. The government sentenced him to 1 full year for tax fraud to the tune of $1.7 million, to which he worked out a deal with the feds for his freedom. The artist transitioned on April 9, leaving a gaping hole in the hearts of so many, evidenced by a 2-day funeral that made the entire culture devastated and bereaved. The MCU hinted at the Fantastic Four's arrival in its Phase 4 teaser, but nothing about the Mutants. However, make no mistake, the Mutants are coming to Marvel. Marvel might want the memories of the Fox movies to lessen before reviving the Mutant franchise on the big screen. Not that the movies weren't successful. 3 of the X-Men movies ended up as critically lauded successes, with Logan, X-Men, Days of Future Past, and X2, First Class. There were also 2 beloved Deadpool movies, and the first 2 in the original X-Men trilogy remain groundbreaking success stories. However, the MCU will almost surely reboot the entire Mutant franchise and put its own stamp on the stories. There is even a chance that teams other than the X-Men might appear. Here is a look at 10 Mutant Marvel teams we would like to see in the MCU, ranked. The Hellfire Club. The Hellfire Club was the main villains in X-Men, First Class. However, that version of the team doesn't come close to their comic book counterparts. Of the main core of the Hellfire Club, only Sebastian Shaw, Kevin Bacon, and Emma Frost, January Jones, appeared, and neither fit the bill for the original members of the team. Emma Frost was especially disappointing, nowhere near the dominating and powerful mutant she is from the comics. The original club included rich and powerful people from all walks of life. Howard Stark was a member at one time. Out of this devastation, rumors of familial strife have circulated. His children are already fighting over his assets and estate, which is of 2021. Some of the kids believe his estate is worth $50,000, while another set insists the rapper was worth closer to $1 million. The Mutants ruled from behind the scenes, with Shaw and Frost on top. Sebastian Shaw also leads the more recent Hellfire Trading Club, but he has Emma Frost and others keeping him in check. This is a scary, powerful group that deserves a bigger showing in a movie. The Exiles. The Exiles feature a team of characters from around the multiverse, put together to correct hiccups in the timeline. If this sounds familiar, it is like what the Time Variance Authority in Loki is all about. However, instead of a bureaucracy that tries to fix things, this team is a group of powerful warriors really fixing things. Many of the characters came from timelines created thanks to the X-Men, including Age of Apocalypse and House of M. There are plenty of mutant legacy characters here. Magnus Lensher is the son of Magneto and Rogue. Many understand that the fight between them is not just about the $50,000, but the massive influx that comes after an artist dies. The Economist notes about the boom to catalogs that occur when rappers die, solving many of the woes they had when they were alive. The site posted, critics of posthumous releases, including fans, music critics and artists alike, charge that they are a corporate cash grab. Biggie, Tupac. Nocturne is the daughter of Nightcrawler and Scarlet Witch. Thunderbird was actually an X-Men member who died. Excalibur would be a very interesting mutant team to add to the MCU. This would give Marvel a more fantasy-based group, as they based it on the characters in Camelot, and around the United Kingdom. The original Excalibur saw Captain Britain and 3 former X-Men members, Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde, and Rachel Summers, a time-displaced daughter of X-Men founders Jean Grey and Cyclops. More recently, there are some mutants that fans want to see join the X-Men in the MCU. Gambit, Rogue, and Jubilee are all members of this recent version of Excalibur, along with Betsy Braddock, Psylocke, as the new Captain Britain. Alpha Flight was, at one time, Canada's greatest superhero team. Unlike the X-Men, this group worked directly for the Canadian government.
They also had training centers with Beta Flight and Omega Flight, which saw members of those teams working toward joining the main roster. Wolverine was a former member, and the first appearance of Alpha Flight saw them attempting to bring him back under orders of the Canadian government. This team featured Guardian as the leader, the hulking Sasquatch, a mystic known as Shaman, an alien known as Snowbird, and the mutant twins, Northstar and Aurora. The New Mutants, the last movie Fox made in the X-Men world, was New Mutants. The characters in the movie were the original New Mutants teammates, and the story was the team's most famous, the Demon Bear Saga. Despite Fox using this famous story, the team is still a significant group and deserves a second life in the MCU. Pop Smoke, Mac Miller XXXTentacion, Juice WRLD and so many more are proof of this. The casting was dubious, although Maisie Williams and Anya Taylor-Joy were perfect as Wolfsbane and Magik. The Hellions are one direction the MCU could go if they wanted to create something darker. This is a team of Black Ops mutants, mostly mercs, all with serious emotional and psychological problems. Mr. Sinister leads this group, although the X-Men's most dangerous villain hasn't debuted in a movie yet. His team includes Psylocke and Havoc, both appearing in the later X-Men movies and both with serious mental problems. Other members are way out there, including the murderous Greycough, the crazed Wild Child, the possessive Orphan Maker, and the morally grey Empath. The Marauders for something completely different. The Marauders bring a swashbuckling attitude to the mutant teams. Kitty Pryde, now going by the name Kate Pryde, leads this team, as they operate off a ship that sails the ocean and helps lend support to the poor people in Madripoor, from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Other members include the popular Iceman, the villain Pyro, from X2 and X-Men, The Last Stand, and Storm. This group is fun, yet deadly when the fight comes to them, and could present something completely different to the MCU. X-Men, of course, the one team that everyone knows as the X-Men. This could feature anyone and everyone and mostly revolved around the leader, Professor X. The Dog is proof of this. After his death, streams of his music went up 928% and a spike total of 75.7 million audio and video streams were calculated the day of his death, and the day after his death. His label has already released 2 singles, less than 2 months after his death, and his new album Exodus comes out tomorrow, May 28. His tax business is leaking. The problem here is that the X-Men and Professor X storylines played themselves out in the countless Fox movies. However, X-Men is the name that everyone knows and is the most bankable name that Marvel could use for an MCU team. If it is the X-Men that makes the return to the movies, Marvel might be smart to create a brand new X-Men team with mostly fresh members and only a couple of old names sticking with the new movies. X-Force Deadpool 2 was supposed to introduce X-Force. What it did was make a joke out of X-Force, with every member dying on the first mission other than Domino. Domino and Cable are the 2 members most known as part of X-Force, and both could return thanks to Deadpool. X-Force is the true Black Ops team from the mutant world. The kids are fighting. Originally, it was the New Mutants with a new name and attitudes. Money is getting made now, but not when he was alive. We hope he is resting in peace. Eventually, it included the deadliest mutants in comics willing to do anything to protect mutants. As long as Domino is part of the team, anything could end up gold if Marvel went with X-Force in the MCU. X-Factor. The best option to reintroduce the mutants to the movie world would be X-Factor. Initially, X-Factor was the original X-Men in disguise as mutant hunters. They were, in fact, saving mutants in this role, and taking them in to help protect and train them. If mutants suddenly popped up in the world, fear and hatred are the most likely reactions by humans. X-Factor could be a way to reintroduce the idea of mutants in the world. Subsequently, the idea of the new X-Factor investigations is even more interesting. This group investigates mutant murders and has an impressive lineup, including Northstar and Aurora, previously with Alpha Flight, Daken, Wolverine's son, Rachel Summers, and Polaris. This is the best way to introduce mutants into a world where they never existed.